Welcome to this interview focusing on one practitioner who has worked with one child who has gone through the adoption process. There is a caveat to this video, and that is drawing and talking is an approach that is used in a variety of contexts and a variety of settings, not just with children who are adopted or fostered, and it's targeted at supporting processing emotional needs. If you are somebody who is working directly in the context of adoption and you are supporting their emotional and mental health needs, you must ensure that you are officially Ofsted registered. Please enjoy this interview and we look forward to your comments below. Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Cath Beagley and I am the CEO of Drawing and Talking and the Mental Health Hub. And today we have been joined by Louisa, who is one of our Drawing and Talking practitioners. And the purpose of this video really is to facilitate and support Adoption Awareness Week. So Drawing and Talking is used a lot with children that we know are going through the foster system or adoptive system. And there are lots of caveats in terms of when Drawing and Talking should be used. But we thought it'd be a really good idea for you to hear from one of our practitioners in terms of their experience, why they chose to do drawing and talking with the child particularly that we're thinking of today. Thank you, Louisa, is the first thing for being here. And thank you to your setting, right, for allowing you this time to do this and record this with us and just kind of get the commitment behind what everybody's up to for this particular week. So the first thing I suppose people want to know is, like, what setting are you in? What is the context of your setting? And what experience have you had with regards to using drawing and talking in general?
So my setting is a small 1.5 form entry Catholic primary school. My job role is pastoral support predominantly across the school, but I also help support in, we're developing an SEN hub, so I've been spending a lot of time in there as well for the last sort of 18 months or so that I've been here. I've been doing drawing and talking for just about a year. Like in November last year, I did my initial training, and I've really enjoyed it. We've seen a really positive impact across the school in that every child, sort of the 15 or 16 children that we worked with last year, all showed an improvement in their SDQ scores and things like that. So it's been really positive for our setting. Yeah, we've been able to do some group work and have some really quite special experiences with them, and just that small group of children, seeing them develop, has been really, really good experience.
So you've been lucky enough to be able to do the foundation course, which is where we look at the intervention from a one-to-one perspective and drawing and talking in terms of its theory and the way that the process actually works. But you've also done the advanced course, right? So the advanced course takes us into the world of sand play, and it also takes us into the world of group work. So you've been able to basically pull on every bit of the tool that you've been trained in, and it's been able to be delivered quite easily in your setting.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, good. That's what I hope to hear. So when we think about the particular child that we're interested in for this week and the context of this call, when we think about adoption and fostering, what was it about this particular child that the school felt drawing and talking could meet a need, right? So what was the school noticing? What did you know about? And what is the context for the child?
Okay, so he has been at our school since he was nursery age, so sort of 3.5. So we've known him for quite a long time. And we've always known that he's been adopted. He's been with his parents the whole time he's been with us. We knew that he struggled with transitions, especially saying goodbye on the school gate. That could be quite traumatic. However, in nursery, we didn't see any of those challenges. We had a very settled year. When he started reception, then we really saw the challenge. So there was a lot of high levels of distress, really dysregulated, 30, 40 minutes of just crying and sobbing and trying to leave school on his own. It was just really sad. It transpired during that period of time that his parents were separating. So there was an additional challenge happening at home, which was kind of the trigger for that instability that we saw in him. So we wanted him to be able to develop some safe attachment relationships within the main school building. So nursery is kind of over here somewhere. So he's now in this like bigger building with more adults, more kids, some adults outside of his classroom that can support him. So we'd already been doing the D&T with the older children. So I went on the advanced course specifically to do the SAN to help this child, because we just felt like he really needed that space.
Great. So not only was it, so had he already been adopted, or he was going through the process of being adopted?
So when he came to us in nursery, he had already been adopted. He was fostered from birth for 12 months and then was with the family that he's with now.
Okay, great. So you knew the context and the background to the family dynamic, but there was additional stressors with a separation happening in the home. So I'm guessing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you decided to choose Sam Play because of his age, right?
So initially,
go on.
Initially, it was purely because of his age. He was only 4 and he wouldn't turn 5 until like the following July, so he's a real baby in the year. But he also scored quite highly on the SDQ in terms of like hyperactivity and needing to like be on the go and moving and engaging. And he's such an imaginative child, and he's always like got some kind of story going on. So we felt like the SAND offered that different way of him to get some of those narratives out in a way that it just feels quite different to the classroom, and we wanted it to be a bit special for him. So we did really get some really great stories, and great, stories, I guess, came out.
So there's 2 things that I just want to say. Your face when you were thinking about him and talking about him just then was so moving. Like the joy about thinking about him. I just wanted to point that out. I really noticed it.
He is a joyful kid. He is a joyful kid.
Yeah, right. I can hear it. I can hear kind of the delight you felt about being able to do this with him. And like, we'll talk about your experience of doing it with him in a minute. But just for clarity for people, so what we say with regards to drawing and talking is really it's from about the age of 5 years of age upwards, mostly because of the dexterity of using a pencil, putting down images and making a story. Also, you pointed out using the SDQ. So SAM Play is often a really good tool and resource to use for people who are scoring high on that emotional scale, but also on the hyperactivity, because it does allow for that physicality and like moving around the room. So I guess what I want to acknowledge the school for is utilising the SDQ to decipher which intervention is going to meet their need best. And that is one of the things that we look at and we're trying to coach people in and train people in as well. So that I'm pleased that worked, right? So when you spoke to the parents about it and you offered this to the parents, what was their concept, their context around it? How did they feel about being offered? What was their sort of judgment about it and their hopes? I want to know what their hopes were as well, actually.
I think so. They were really positive about it. I think what they were kind of pleasantly surprised by is that as a small school, we could offer like a really specific attachment-based therapeutic intervention that has a good evidence base and is, has got, it just seems like quite a big thing to be able to give a child. And so they were really pleased with that. And they acknowledged that there was a lot of challenge going on for him. And they felt like the consistency of the intervention and how regular it was and how it was every Monday and it helped get him in through the school gate sometimes. I think they found that to be a really positive experience, and they loved looking at his pictures afterwards when he took them home. They would come and tell me that he told them all about them. I think their hopes were predominantly the ease of that separation in the morning. That was the biggest challenge for them, because it's distressing, right, to see your kid in that upset, screaming for you all the time.
I have been there.
Haven't we all? I mean, like, so I think
as a parent, I've been there.
That has eased has been really really good for them.
Great. So they really wanted, so I guess for them, what they were hoping for is that like you just said, the transition from that home environment where clearly he did feel safe and secure, even though there was those distresses going on with regards to the separation, there was still that secure relationship with both parents, actually. But it was the transitioning into school and the attachment side of things that where those heightened awarenesses from both parents and school were noticeable.
Definitely.
And relationship building. Okay. All right. That is the perfect reason to use drawing and talking. It's an attachment-based approach. Predominantly, it's an attachment-based approach. All right. So here's the big question, right? So you start working and you start doing sand play with him. I'm not going to ask you necessarily about him, Louisa. I want to know, how was it for you?
So it taught me a lot. I learned a lot about his resilience and any child's resilience, really. Like, you can throw the whole world at them and they'll just crack on. So it was really a positive experience for me to be able to see that we could build this kind of therapeutic working relationship with a child, but that could carry on. So the work has ended, right? The work ended like June, July last year or whatever, but we still have that really positive, solid relationship. And it just showed me like how much children can cope with. But I think also as a practitioner, especially like as a fairly new practitioner still, he showed really high levels of conflict throughout the whole all 12 weeks. I think it was like 2 2 2 2 2, a little bit of 3 towards the end, and I was just like, there's so much conflict, it's terrible. But I think by the end of it, I was like, conflict can be okay. This is just his experience, and that's legitimate, that's valid. So I think it did really help me learn to feel okay with not going 1 2 3, ooh, everyone's better. I think it's okay to sit with the conflict, and for there to be conflict, and for it not to be resolved in the way that I wanted it to be, but it has obviously resolved something for him.
Okay, good. I'm going to give a bit of context to the 1 2 3 thing. So drawing and talking is a 3-stage process. So most people do work through 3 stages, and that middle stage is what we call the conflict stage. When we talk about in our practice in terms of drawing and talking conflict stage, what we mean is the internal struggle, right? So we don't mean conflict going on in the playground or at school or at home. We mean the internal struggle, the part of us that is struggling with how we are feeling, that's in conflict with how we wish it was, and how we jostle to try and grapple with those emotions internally and make sense of them for ourselves. So that is what stage 2 is for us, and conflict stage. And you know, for some people, it's really important that they spend a long time dwelling in that place where all the emotions are accepted and they are worked out and they are played with, and they learn to survive those really sometimes quite complex feelings that can't be put into words, right? Can't be put into happy, sad, or emoji faces. They're just too complex to be able to do that. So when Louisa was talking about the stages and the conflict stage, that's what she means by that. And I think for such a young child to be able to feel safe to play at that, right? And also do it in a room that then frees them up when they go back outside of the room, where it feels like a kind of weight, here's an expression, right? Like a weight's lifted off their shoulder almost. So you say now that the school and the parents and you can notice differences.
Yeah.
Predominantly, how do you feel like what are the areas that they are beginning to flourish in? What is it that you're noticing for that particular child, especially kind of around relationship, I think?
So I think we've seen a big improvement in how he transitions into school in the morning. So I'm always on the gate in the morning anyway. That's part of my day. I welcome everybody into school. But I mean, we're at the end of a really long, like 8-week term right now. Like, this is the last day and everyone is dragging themselves through. But we've only had 3 or 4 days where he's become that distressed. Every other day he's just skipped him. And so far it's going really well. But I think in the last session, the phrase that he used was like that he'd won the battle. So the battle went on for like the whole 12 sessions, and he'd won the battle. And I think you can kind of see that confidence in him. He's like, I can do this. I've won that fight. And it's really developed his confidence and his security in that sense. And he's transitioned into year 1 now, and he's built a really positive relationship with a new teacher that he didn't know. But also when things are feeling a little bit difficult, he knows where I am in my cupboard. Like, he'll come and find me. We can have a quick, like, or a hug, or whatever it is that we need. But we've got that relationship now, regardless of what class he goes into, because I'm external to classes. So I think it's given him that secure relationship, and school doesn't really change. Whereas home is still quite dynamic, school is school every day. And I think he feels really settled. I mean, his parents do feel like he manages his changes much better over the last sort of 12 months. And they loved how proud he was to show them his pictures. So all the photos that he took home. That experience for him of feeling so proud of what he'd done, like, he was so excited. He ran out with this folder and was like, look at all of this work that I've done. And feeling that proud of himself, I think, was a really important experience for him.
I think one of the things that's just sort of registered for me is he finished the work before the summer holidays. And for a child that age, that 6-week summer holiday break, that's a long time when you have to be noticing all the other stuff that we know is complicated in that child's world right now. So then to be able to come back in school and still have the experience and the feeling, I mean, like, what a gift, because that child could have quite easily turned into a school-based refuser, not engaging with the curriculum. And it's vital that kids do that. And whilst this particular technique isn't designed to have any specific outcomes, right? It is completely child-led and person-led. What is really clear is what is possible from what you've said. Right? And the alteration of the trajectory for that child.
Yeah, definitely.
So what have you learned specifically now with regards to working? Anything opened up for you, or that you've kind of learned more about with regards to children who are going through that fostering or adoption process? What is it you want to share about that and hand over as a piece of information?
I think just don't underestimate them. Like, yes, they're going through a lot. He's probably been through more in his 5 years than I've been through in my more than 5 years. But he's so capable. He's so willing to take on a challenge. And I think just don't underestimate them. Just because there's chaos all around them, they can still really engage and focus and do a great piece of work that can really have a significant impact on them.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving up your time. Please thank everybody in your school and your environment for, giving you the time to come here and speak with us today. It's always great to hear from the people on the ground doing it. It's all well and good me sitting here saying X, Y, Z, right? But the proof is always in the pudding. And I just, I want to thank everybody who has ever done training with us, ever come to a webinar to find out about this work. And I just want to thank everybody for the thousands and thousands of children that have a difference made to them every year from the work that schools are doing and other organisations are doing. So anything else, Louisa, that you want to finish on?
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. And we look forward to hearing some more shares in the future. Thank you very much.